So I've used the Avion Infinite Privilege card for years, and it was my favorite travel card, especially for its flexibility. But recently, when I went to book a ticket to Israel, instead of my regular $125 I pay in fees, it was $800. And it was because of the guest surcharge tax charged by Air Canada, something like $675 that is not covered by your points. So I started to think like, am I still using the best travel card in Canada? And when I did my research, American Express Cobalt showed up in a lot of lists as the #1 card. So I decided to take a deep dive and compare the two cards and to see what makes Amex so popular, and should I just switch everything to it or not. The first thing I try to do is determine the value of the points, because not all points are created equal. If you ever try to redeem Air Miles points, you know those guys are worthless. So first thing I did is I looked at the redemption schedule of a Avion card. In theory, you can get up to 2.3 cents back, but we all know that the tickets for $350 probably do not exist in Canada. I then looked at American Express, and their points were slightly less. For 100,000 points, you get 1,700. The thing is, though, I'm trying to use the points to transfer them one-to-one to Aeroplan, so I can either get a status or just book directly with Air Canada, and I'm assuming a lot of people are trying to do that too. So then I had to value the Airplane point, which was way harder than I thought it was going to be. I googled it, I got like a big range of numbers, and NerdWallet says it's 2.23, but that's average between 1.69 and 2.1 for business, which I don't know if that average gives you any indication. And I'll explain why. So after a bit of a research, I figured that at some point Aeroplan switched to dynamic pricing, and what it means is that the amount of points they charge you is based on the cash value of the ticket. So if you're booking a ticket on a popular route during high seasonality, you're gonna pay way more points, versus with fixed price, as long as there's a place on an airplane, you're paying the same. So to illustrate this sort of crucial point and the difference, I looked at the flight from Toronto to Milan for 2 weeks in June. So when I select Air Canada, you can quickly see that it doesn't matter. There are 3 flights. It doesn't matter what time they're flying or what connection they're going through. It's $65,000 plus the fees. And the fees will vary differently based on what airport you're flying from. But most of those fees are actually Air Canada guest surcharge fees. Now, when I go to Air Canada website and I try to book a ticket, you will see that the flights on the same day, the amount of tickets, of points, and that's by the way, one way, varies differently. Like it varies, like it's not the same. So for example, it's 5 o'clock. I might have, here it's 5 o'clock, 65,000 points. So let's say I get the standard fare here. We're gonna do standard fare here. So now on the way back, I have to decide again, like how many points I want to spend. Like for example, this one have some sort of a crazy like economy, is 337,000. Like I don't even know where it's coming from. Over here, I don't have to worry about it. So let's do earliest departure time. See if we can find 9 o'clock. We can't find the same 9 o'clock flight, which is actually way better. What about 12:50? 12:50. So I'm gonna do standard, and we'll do this flight standard, the select. All right, so here it's 121,000 points, which is, if you look at the the average redemption charge, that would be on a higher end, or 132,000 if you want to pay everything in points. And over here, I get my 65,000 plus taxes and fees, which 675 of them are from Air Canada. So you can see that with Avion and fixed redemption schedule, if it's a popular flight, if it's a high seasonality, the cash value of the ticket will be higher, but because you pay the same points, you're going to get better redemption. Versus with Aeroplan, you can't really play around with it. If it's an expensive ticket, you're also going to pay a lot of points. So then I looked at earning points, and that's what makes Cobalt so popular, because you're earning 5 times on food and groceries and restaurants, 3 times on streaming. Nobody cares, even if you spend like $100 on streaming per month. 2 times on travel and transit. That can be significant, especially if you pay a lot for gas, or you do fly so much that the points you accumulate is just not enough and you have to keep buying them for cash. With Avion, you just get flat 1.25 points for everything you spend, and the annual fee ends up being like $120 higher than American Express, which they actually charge you per month. So when I did like a little simple scenario where I spend $1,000 on food per month, and then everywhere else I get 1 point to get my $1,700 back in theory, because we know if we put it on Aeroplan, we might not get that. It's almost 1% higher redemption rate than Avion. And here it's pretty straightforward. Like, to get $2,000, you need 100,000 points, and the redemption is $235. So then I looked at real life examples, because the theory is not good enough for me. I usually tend to fly to Tel Aviv and Dublin, and I did the comparison between using Aeroplan points and then using Avion points. And I actually went to the websites and went through the whole process. So on economy, Aeroplan has way better redemption than Avion points, and this is because I have to pay $675 in Air Canada guest surcharge. Once we go to premium economy though, Avion kicks ass of Amex, and the reason for it is super simple, because this 100,000 points is good for up to 2,000. So when you go to that higher price level, you sort of taken out all of the value you can from your points. And this specific card, Infinite Privilege, allows you to book both premium economy and business class tickets, which some cards don't. Some cards just allow you to book economy tickets. So this is sort of like a hidden perk of this card. And then I looked at Dublin, and here was the same scenario. The redemption rate was super low for economy, but it beat the redemption rate of Avion. Why it's super low? Because the ticket only costs $992. So those 65,000 that you're spending, that could be worth 1,300, you're just not taping them all. Once you go to premium economy, business, way better redemption. It's really good redemption for Amex in those categories too. Like they're respectable, but they're not nearly 2.23 cents that we just saw in Nerd Wallet. So personal finance is personal. So depending on where you fly, check out the tickets, check out if Aeroplan points actually worth, like what are they worth to you. In the end, when I looked at all of it, I still got the card. I went in, I applied, and it arrived in like 10 days. And why? Because this 5-time points on restaurant and groceries multiplier really makes the difference. I also can get a free second credit card carrier, which is my wife, and she can get 2 times points on gas. There was a bonus offer that you get 30,000 points in the first year. Then in my mind, I figured that Uber Eats, we get 5 points, plus it's already connected to the Aeroplan account. So it's 6 points for every dollar you spend. So for this specific category, it's just any way you slice it, it's worth it, especially if we do end up flying economy. There are a bunch of cons to Amex cards in general and specifically to Cobalt. Like number one is Amex charge very high credit card process fees. And that's the reason why a lot of retailers just don't accept it at all. Also in Canada, starting from last year, the businesses can charge credit card processing fees to people. So you might get charged them and they'll be way higher. And then if they charge you those fees, there's no point in doing any kind of credit card rewards. Specifically for Cobalt card, there's not as many benefits, insurances, or lounge access as Avion card. American Express Platinum is way better, but then the annual fee is twice as much as Avion. So I found two useful websites, because when you talk about multipliers, you might be like, is Shoppers a grocery store? Like, will I get 5 points or will I get 1 point? So those sites like this one, Confirm Multiplier, it will tell you, according to them, like I'll still have to check it out, what's the multiplier. So for example, 4 or 7, even though it's a transit, you're not getting 2 points, you're getting 5, while 7-Eleven somehow, sorry, you're getting 1 point, and 7-Eleven somehow you're getting 5 points. I tried to look for Petro-Canada because that's where I fuel up. I couldn't find it here. So then I found this site from American Express, which tells you if the retailer accepts American Express. Doesn't tell you the multiplier, but at least I know they will accept it in Petro-Canada, which makes my calculations easier. When I was doing the research, I read a lot about the gift card trick. So basically you go to the grocery store, you buy the gift cards, you get the 5 points, and then you use the gift cards to purchase what you actually needed, say on Amazon or Uber. There are a few cons to this trick. So people use it to get to that 30,000, and 30,000 in groceries is 150,000 points. I read the TOS. It doesn't specifically talk about the gift cards, but it does talk about doing purchases specifically to get the cash out. If you use the credit cards to buy if you use the gift cards to buy stuff, you have zero insurance. Like I saw one guy posting about buying Air Canada ticket on the gift card. That's the worst idea I've heard in a while, because on the credit card, you have travel interruption insurance, you have lost luggage insurance. Otherwise, you're putting all of your faith in Air Canada, which I would not do it. There's also a lot of actions, like you have to, go to the grocery store, buy the gift cards, upload them to an account, keep track of it. If you're like credit card churning points lover and you love to do it, it's cool. Simplicity has a price to it, especially if you have a partner in it. So like I have a wife, she doesn't really care as much about credit card points game. So I have to make it simple. So I can't be messing around with gift cards. I might still do it from time to time, might not, we'll see. I'm still keeping my cards and my Avion privilege card, and for a few reasons. Number one is ecosystem. I'm an RBC bank client, and as I said, there's a price to pay for the simplicity. My points flow from one card to another. It's easy to make the payments. I know the interface. I also earning 1.25 points on every dollar I spend. So except the groceries and restaurants, I'm going to be using my regular card. Groceries and restaurants, I'll use the Cobalt card. I have booking flexibility, as I showed you. It doesn't, as long as there is a space on the flight, it doesn't matter if it's a popular route, if it's a high season, I'm going to pay the same amount of points, and then those stupid guest surcharge fees charged by Air Canada. What's important for me is with Avion, I get the 31-day insurance. Because I tend to go home for longer periods, the 15 days you have in Cobalt card is just not enough for me. I get 6 times lounge access. It's kind of nice, like the American Express Platinum has way better lounge access system, but then again, it's twice the price. On Petro-Canada, I get 3 cents off gas, and I get the 1.5 points because you get the bonus when you fuel up there. So that's why I'm not using American Express, those 2 times multiplier on a gas station, unless I have to fuel up and it's not Petro-Canada, because maybe their 2 points is higher than this, but this is kind of guaranteed. I get cell phone insurance, a bunch of other like insurances that tend to be higher than American Express Cobalt. And because I get the refund for the annual fee because I'm an RBC, it just makes sense. So in conclusion, if all you're interested in is flying as many times as possible in economy flights, American Express, because of its multiplier, is probably the best card in Canada, especially if you pick and choose the flights. If you pick the flights that are not as popular, you're gonna get a great redemption rate. And if you tap out those 5 times multiplier on grocery and restaurants, you really are getting an amazing redemption rate. If you want a little bit more, if you want more flexibility, if you're trying to fly premium economy or business, if you want the lounge access, if you need longer insurance, the Cobalt card is just not enough for you. You need another card. You could say like, I'm gonna go with American Express Platinum, but then you're not earning the 5 times points on the groceries. So you can't have it all. So for now, I'm using the Avion card for everything but the groceries and restaurants. And for groceries and restaurants, using Cobalt. And I will submit my review after I've used the card for a while about the real life experience. How did it work? Thanks you for watching, and until the next time.